everyone, my name is Sheila Grace Belan, and in this video we will talk about how urbanization exacerbates climate change, what are the impacts of climate change on urban life, and how we can rise to it. More than half of the world's population today lives in urban areas. According to the World Bank, it is expected to increase to 9 billion by 2045. The 2020 urban population census of the Philippine Statistics Authority revealed that 54% of the Philippines' total population reside in urban barangays. This has increased by 2.8 percentage points compared to the 51.2% level in 2015. Rapid urbanization has boosted the economy. Over 80% of the global GDP is generated in cities. In the Philippines, three regions with numbers of highly urbanized cities, particularly in the National Capital Region, Calabarzon, and Central Luzon, have generated the highest share of GDP in percentages of 38, 16, and 9 respectively. Although urbanization has positive effects on the economy, it also poses serious threats to the environment. Increased urbanization has put pressure on resource extraction to meet the needs of the growing population. This led to the significant impacts on environment and exacerbation of climate conditions. According to studies, urban areas are responsible for 70% of the total carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. In the urban regions, increased CO2 emissions result from the continuously rising consumption of resources and production of materials which require huge amounts of energy. Burning of fossil fuels for electricity and energy production is regarded as the key driver of climate change. The United Nations has reported that 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions, or nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions, are from burning of fossil fuels. Tree cutting, manufacturing of goods, transportation, and powering of buildings are among the other identified drivers of climate change. All of these are found with urbanization, making the urban regions vulnerable to various economic and social impacts of climate change. Among the identified social and economic impacts of climate change in the urban regions include increase in climate-related health risks. Severe storms and heavy precipitation can be deadly, causing injuries and leaving many people without a home. We saw this happen during severe floods in different countries, including the Philippines. Extreme heat is also a dangerous weather phenomenon that affects people living in cities all over the world. With climate change causing more temperature fluctuations, we may see an increase in heat-related illnesses and deaths. Food and water scarcity. Water scarcity becomes a pressing issue during extreme heat temperatures with limited precipitation. This, in turn, affects food production in a domino effect. Urban food sources are damaged due to droughts, floods, and extreme precipitation, exacerbating the already existing problem of food shortage. Livelihood can be highly affected by extreme climate events. It hinders the ability of urban individuals and households to sustain their source of living. Distributional impacts within and among cities. Studies have shown that certain groups in cities are more affected by climate change based on gender, age, and race. Women in the developing world are particularly vulnerable due to the limited access to resources and aid following disasters. Young and elderly individuals, especially those from low-income families, are of higher risk of injury and death during severe weather events due to their physiological, behavioral, and social characteristics. Direct and indirect impacts on industrial assets. Extreme climate events has caused significant costs by disrupting industrial activities. Infrastructure damage from extreme events and slow onset changes can disrupt essential services like electricity, water, and sewerage. Climate change can significantly impact the tourism sector. The climate has a significant impact on tourism seasons, destination preferences, spending patterns, and the quality of environmental resources in the locality. Additionally, extreme climate events and changes in climate-based resources can affect the physical infrastructure as well as the operating and business costs of tourism activities. Retail and commercial services. Climate change has the potential to affect every aspect of the supply chain, including distribution network efficiency, workforce health and comfort, and consumption patterns. Having said all this, climate action must begin now. Considering the tremendous impact of climate change on urban life and the impetuous actions in urbanization, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change has cited ways to cities and local action to combat climate change, which include campaigning to produce behavioral change, developing more sustainable commuting, producing products and food locally, reducing the use of energy in buildings or shifting to renewable or sustainable energy, recycling of wastes, and reclaiming green spaces. Emphasizing on shifting to renewable or sustainable energy, One of the most urgent climate actions that requires immediate attention is reducing or completely stopping the use of fossil fuels as energy sources. This remains as the primary source of climate change, which is highly evident in urban areas and is closely tied to urbanization. Lastly, apart from adoption of such actions to climate change, one of the important solutions that must be implemented in the Philippines to combat this climate crisis is efficient and sustainable urban planning. Urbanization has to be managed properly, and urban planning addresses this issue. It includes evaluating the current state of a place, identifying where it needs to go, and developing strategies to address any problems that may arise along the way. Together, let's create a harmonious urban environment through urban planning.